Alright, I'm gonna level with you. We're not gonna do the fancy intro. We're not gonna do the over-the-top introduction to the video. We're just gonna roll this one through, and I'm gonna do it a little bit differently to keep it interesting. But it was bound to happen that I would, get irritated by a 3.1 Damascus, knowing that there could be more to be gotten. And we went and beat it and got a 3.21 with one most wanted, not in Arsenal, while fighting Krampus and opening boxes under the Christmas tree and squad wiping bounty hunters and killing solo players and killing people with helicopters and stealing helicopters and getting a last minute kill. Just go with me on this, ladies and gentlemen, the brand new solo record for Caldera for $3.2 million.
Contracts, looting, or eliminating targets.
It was the week before Christmas, and Razor was on a flight through Caldera, enjoying the ambient sounds, the beautiful scenery, and dreaming of drinking a martini while sitting in a beach chair in the resort, overlooking those ocean waves lapping in, and that beautiful, calm sound. And then he remembered that he was in a plane where on the loading screen there's only one person, and then 100 people managed to jump out of it. He looks at his Bruin. I say Bruin because it's like the Bruin, but it's actually called the Bren. He looks at his Bren and tries to shoot people out of the sky, not realizing that zero recoil really means zero recoil, and this gun is completely broken, just like the rest of the map. Knowing that he has already missed a spot in which to land, he sees the wild helicopters taking off in search of supply run contracts to level up guns for the cheap players who will not buy Vanguard. They take full advantage of the free-to-play game that is Caldera and its limited time modes, including Plunder. With a valiant effort, Razor ascends the mountain and into the mines, where he begins the looting process. This is the mating process of all Plunder players, which requires opening an obscene amount of boxes to gather the most cash. Something that Battle Royale players find incredibly boring, and yet they do it for the majority of the game in the hope of finding UAVs and legendary guns, now that the loadout will not spawn in for 10 minutes. Having looted enough money to satisfy him, he runs to put out a balloon as instructed to by all the how-to guys in Plunder, and instead he gets destroyed by a bullfrog and gets very deflated about it because he remembers just how many times he has died putting a balloon down. But not discouraged, Razor decides he will go back. He will embark on that journey back up the mountain, through the river, into the peak, and ascend to the top, where he will open presents left by Santi underneath the Christmas tree. Upon calling in 3 magical telephones, he has a view of all that exists within Caldera. All the life forms just ticking away, trying to kill each other, to their contracts, loot, whatever it is that they enjoy doing. He pings a sniper on a hill, only to watch the body drop down the mountain and viciously get torn up by the rocks. He discovers the presents left by Santa Claus and is ecstatic about it, and the Grinch that is trying to steal them. He kills the Grinch and decides that he will wait for more presents in the hope that he does not get any code from Santi. He nervously awaits the moment that the boxes will spawn in as players begin to float in around him. The box is open and he has money, but fear! Krampus is hunting him! He quickly runs to his helicopter to take flight away from the danger, not realizing that Krampus is watching his every move. Razor sets down his helicopter in an abandoned village, thinking he has escaped the grasp of Krampus, when suddenly a wild one appears, and he is hell-bent on killing Razor. He rushes to the battleground, a wide open space where Krampus cannot corner him, and works out what gun to use. He fires with a stopping power round loaded Mac-10 and unleashes on Krampus with a gun bought from the Call of Duty store, but it is not enough to slow Krampus down, as Krampus appears and disappears before his eyes. But Krampus is no match for the mobility of this Mac-10, maxed at 100%. Not even Krampus himself, with all his snowballs and powers to disable vehicles can stop him. Krampus is disorientated, running from left to right to left to right, appearing and disappearing, throwing snowballs, but the Mac is out of ammo. He switches to the brain, and Krampus is dead! Razor has defeated him, and he can breathe a sigh of relief with $1 million on him. He quickly reloads his Mac-10, he takes the balloon and leaves behind an armor-stat to something that could prove dangerous as we progress in this wild endeavour. Landing in a seaside resort, Razor believes he has escaped the wilds of Caldera when a bounty contract is placed upon his head. He should not be discouraged by this, however, as he is going to continue the game onwards and not let the setback affect his play. He balloons his money once more, even though he should know better of what he is doing. What is this man doing with a bounty upon his head? But they could be anywhere. They're not going to push him, surely, when suddenly a wild Bertha rolls in, the most feared vehicle in solo battle royale, and they flank him from the hill. We get visual on them, and he opens fire at the brain, and this zero recoil gun downs one, and a sweaty Roski pushes, and they get melted, and they drop money for Razor, and he is ecstatic as he pushes back up to $800,000, and his choice of vehicles. It feels like he is on a game show, and the scorecard will even act like it because it seems like he has to pay taxes because it won't affect his medal score. What is going on inside Caldera? Having looted more villages, Razor needs to start lining up where he's going to go to get this Damascus gem, knowing how much it will take, when all of a sudden a wild solo player appears in the sky. Now, having previously picked up a bounty contract, there was a quick realization that perhaps it will not expire by the time the enemy team is banked, and we will have to go and kill this innocent soul, and perhaps he will drop lots of money to help in the endeavours of getting closer to that 2 million bank, while a second and a third team push for the win. With a UAV active, Razor leaps into his helicopter and takes off after the bounty like Rudolph himself is pulling Santa's sleigh. The bounty busts through the door and Razor pre-aims, but we have a cluster strike on our head, and as the bounty frantically tries to jump to the window, the broken windows of Caldera cost him his life, but it also cost us a helicopter, and we know that the solo player was running piercing vision as we light up like a Christmas tree from the cluster strike. We fear that all hope is lost. There is no way we will get back to civilization in time, when out of nowhere another helicopter appears. Razor rushes to the helicopter like a child going to open presents at Christmas, and one enemy engages with the other, and Razor third parties with his trusty Mac-10. He takes him out, he loots the money, and he steals the helicopter, knowing he can escape to the sub-pens and become a master looter. Wishing he could stop for the martini that he promised himself at the seaside resort, he puts himself as the most wanted man on the map of Caldera, knowing that there are enemies in the area, but he must do this to gain the money to achieve the Damascus gem. He rushes to the sub-pens once more and begins the frantic spree of looting, racing first place to the $2 million bank. Suddenly, the realization sets in. First place could possibly bank before the most wanted contract expires. There's another most wanted lined up perfectly in the sub-pens, but if they bank, he has wasted all that time running to try and find more money. He pushes it as close to the $2 million as possible as he loses the lead at the tip of the contract, and they bank. And all of a sudden, Razor realizes that his hopes of getting a second most wanted are gone, and it is now going to become increasingly more difficult to beat the previous score on the hunt for the Damascus. The most nerve-wracking 3 minutes of his life begin to tick down, knowing he only has 20 seconds left on the clock as the most wanted man in Caldera, but soon he will become the king, and all will want his money. He calls in a UAV to check the area and sees nothing pop up bar one down to the south of him. He rushes to the first hangar checking for money, and he's delighted to see cash piles, but alas, there is only one box. He is disenfranchised by this as he knows there has been more money in there in the past. His most wanted contract finishes and suddenly 2.4 million is on the clock. He grabs a bounty contract in desperation, hoping upon hoping that the bounty might pursue him, that he could get that amazing quit out kill that would give him $400,000 at the end of of a game, meaning that the score would be nearly $4 million. But he takes a shot! He takes a shot, and it throws him. He needs to replay quickly and think fast. He knows he is down by the bunker. He continues to loot the ground floor. This enemy cannot put him off looting. It cannot put him off for even a moment, because he knows the score is going to be so difficult to beat. The bounty gets poached. He's never going to push him. He gets the XP, but not the money for the contract. The box hunt is now frantic. With 1:30 left on the clock, he is only on $2.7 million with no more most wants to buff his score, and he cannot kill himself like some people give out to him to doing so. I have nearly stumbled upon this, and I am not going to edit it out. He gets another UAV to pop and picks up a dead silence, thinking he will need it if he gets pushed towards the end. The towels look like money. He opens another box and jumps through the window. He knows this route well. He has practiced it. He knows it when he is taken over from Legalized Stim, when Stim has been on his vacations in the gym. He rushes to the Big L, the first building that Razor named in this map, his fondest building. Boxes are opening, 57 seconds are left on the clock, and he sees the enemy on the UAV. He knows where he is. The boxes are continuing to flow. He has hit $3 million. He has 47 seconds to beat the previous score. He needs a minimum of 200,000. He says balls to the wall. Screw it, I'm going to pop my death silence. I'm going to jump out and push on UAV. And to his relief, the enemy is standing idle. He downs him, but no money pops out. The lowest amount possible, and it is so disheartening. With 20 seconds left on the clock, he must run and get everything he can. 17 seconds, $3.1 million. The boxes aren't there. He sees cash piles. He breathes a sigh of relief, because there's more and more. 37,000, and we get one final box which pushes us to $3.2 million. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the highest score in Caldera so far in the game's history, and you can bet your bottom dollar we are going to get this higher. I don't know what you expected from this video, but it probably wasn't a story that you have just been told. But rest assured, as Razor returned home on his aeroplane, he had his martini by the beach, holding his gem. He got home and put on a mantelpiece the Damascus gem and Krampus's head. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and we will see you all again soon.